All right, here we go. So the first blank up there says your main goal is to. Good. Get the variable by itself. All right, and we're still going to use the opposite operations like we were yesterday. But this time we're going to have multiple steps. So I'm not a big fan of this, but that third line there, it says if there's more operations involved, you're going to follow, what is that PEMDAS thing? What's that for? Yeah, so we're going to follow order of operations, but backwards. So it kind of in reverse order. So we're going to follow the order of operations in reverse. I put in reverse. Or you can put backwards if you want. Okay, so let's do the examples. So the lesson here is really there's not a lot of notes. We just got to do the examples. So let's look at 1 and 2. So what we're going to do is we need to get this term by itself. So how would you get rid of that plus 10? Yeah, we'd subtract 10. So we're going to go minus 10 on both sides. Well, then on the right-hand side, these would cancel out just like yesterday. That would make 0. So on the left-hand side, we have 18 minus 10. That's 8. And that's going to, all we have left on the right-hand side is 4 times A. And then what's the opposite of multiplying by 4? Yeah. So we're just going to divide both sides by whatever number's in front of that variable. Just like yesterday, these are going to cancel out and make a 1. So we're going to get A equals 2. 8 divided by 4 is 2. So that is a 2-step equation. All right, we had to subtract and then divide. Same thing on the next one. We're going to try to get this term that contains the variable by itself. So how would I get rid of that minus 2? Yep. So we're going to add 2. So add 2 on both sides. Again, these cancel out on the left-hand side, make a 0. So all I have left on the left-hand side is 5t, and that's equal to negative 32 plus 2, which would be negative 30. Then what would I do now? Yep. Yeah, I want to get rid of that number out in front of the variable. I want to get rid of that coefficient of 5. I want to make it a 1. So I do that by dividing both sides by 5. Again, those cancel out now. 5 in the numerator and a 5 in the denominator. That makes 1. So I get 1t, or just t, equals negative 30 divided by 5 is negative 6. But don't forget you could check these, okay? So for example, on this one, you could take that negative 6 that you got for t, and you could plug it in right there. So you'd have 5 times negative 6. That would be negative 30. And then minus 2 more. That would give you negative 32. So that checks. Okay, you can either do the check kind of mentally like I did right there, or you could just use your calculator to check it also. All right? So again, that was an example of a 2-step one. And I think there's a number 3 over here, isn't there? Yeah. This one, oh, there's 3 and 4. Now these got fractions in them. Okay. So again, here, the goal on this one is to get the y by itself. But first, we're going to get the term containing y by itself. So we want to get this term by itself. So how do I get rid of that minus 3/4? Good. So I'm going to add 3/4 on, oops. We're going to add 3/4 on both sides. So then, just like yesterday, still these cancel out right here, right? Negative 3/4 plus 3/4, that's 0. And then all we have left on the left-hand side now is y over 8. And on the right-hand side, well, you're lucky that you have a common denominator, right? So your common denominator is 4. You keep that. And then you just got to add the numerators, which are 5 plus 3. So what's that? That's 8. And then we might as well go ahead and simplify this fraction right here, this one. So that's 8 divided by 4. That's 2, right? Okay, so now we're at, let's see, where can I go here? I need some more room. I'll come up here. So come up here. So I've got y over 8 equals 2. So then, I'm actually don't have enough room for my multiplication now. So I'm coming over there. Okay. So now, how do I get rid of that 8? I got y divided by 8. So what's the opposite of dividing by 8? Yeah, you multiply by 8. So we're going to multiply by 8 on the left. And we'll multiply by 8 on the right. And then just like yesterday, this is 8 over 8, so those cancel out. So I get 1y equals 16. All right. All right, let's try this other one with fractions. This one doesn't look as nice because we're not going to have a common denominator. So let me kind of divide this off here. So, all right, so the first step on this one, again, we want to get the term containing the variable by itself. So we want to get this term by itself. So how do we get rid of that plus 3/4? Minus 3/4, good. So we're going to subtract 3/4 on this side, and then we're going to subtract 3/4 on this side. Well, these are going to cancel out and make 0 still, just like yesterday. So then we have 2/3 r is going to equal, we got 7/12 minus 3/4. So we're going to need a common denominator over there on the right-hand side. So what's the smallest number that 12 and 4 both divide into evenly? Not 2, not the smallest number that divides into them. The smallest number that 12 and 4, yeah. The smallest number that 12 and 4 both divide into evenly is 12. So you need a common denominator of 12. So you need to change that 4 into a 12. So to do that, you're going to multiply this denominator by 3. That'll make it a 12. But then you must also multiply the numerator by 3. So notice you're really not changing that fraction. All right, you're multiplying by 3 over 3. Well, that's just 1, right? So if you multiply a fraction by 1, it's the same fraction still. It's just going to look different. It's just not going to be reduced. Okay, so that's going to give me, I'm going to slide over here so that I got more room in the margin over here. So that's going to give me, so I'm going to come over here. 2/3 r is equal to, well, now I'm going to have 7/12 minus, and then right here, I'm going to multiply straight across the bottom and straight across the top. So in the numerators, I got 3 times 3. That's 9. And straight across the denominators right here, I got 4 times 3, which is a 12. So now I can subtract on the right-hand side there. So now I've got 2/3 r equals 7 minus 9. What's that? Good. Yep, that's a -2 over my common denominator, which I keep. That's 12. Now I could go ahead and finish this right now, but I think I should probably reduce that fraction on the right-hand side. That'll make it a little easier. So I am going to divide both of these by 2. So now, this is taking a while. Now I have 2/3 r equals, I got -2 divided by 2. That's -1. And in the denominator, I got 12 divided by 2. That would be 6. Okay, so finally. Now what's the last step? I know most of your names. I think I could call on you guys now. What's the next step? I got to get rid of that 2/3 in front of the r. Go on. Flip it? Yeah. I got to multiply by the reciprocal of the 2/3. So I'm going to multiply the left side by 3 over 2. And I'm going to multiply the right side by 3 over 2. Well, again, just like yesterday, now these 2's are going to cancel, these 3's are going to cancel. So I just get 1 r on the left-hand side, which is what I want. And on the right-hand side there, I could just multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom. But if I cross-cancel, my answer will already be reduced. So what's 3 divided by 3? That's a 1. What's 6 divided by 3? 2. So now if I multiply straight across the numerators, I get -1 times 1. That's -1. And in the denominators, I've got 2 times 2, which is a 4. So after all that, I get r equals -1/4. So that one was a lot of work. All right. Well, let's fill in this next blank now. So the next blank here is all right, so at the top of the page there, that blank, it says if there is more than one term with a variable, we need to. This is going to say combine like terms first. So combine like terms. So if there's more than one term with the same variable, you're going to need to add or subtract those first, okay? You're going to combine like terms first. So let's take a look at 5 and 6. All right. So when you look at number 5, is there anything you can combine on the left-hand side? On the left-hand side of the equal sign? Yeah, you got 8x, take away 5x, so what's that? That's going to be 3x, yeah. So what we just did is you can combine this term and this term. So 8x's take away 5x's leaves you 3x's. So you got 3, oops. So you've got 3x minus 21 equals -15. So I just brought down the -21 and the -15. Now we're back to a two-step one, right? So what's the next step?
Plus 21.
Good. Yep, add 21 on both sides. These cancel out and make 0. So now you got 3x equals, what's that, 6? What's the next step? Good. Yeah, divide 3 on both sides. So you divide both sides by 3. These 3's cancel out and make a 1 on the left-hand side, and we get x equals 6 divided by 3, which is 2. Okay, so that's exactly what that should look like on your homework, okay? Again, you can't just write a list of answers for me. You got to show the work. Yep.
Are we doing one lesson today?
Yeah. Yep. And then, let's see, what else I can tell you guys? I don't know. Let's just go on. All right. So, I know what I was going to say. So that one actually had 3 steps, right? That one you had to combine like terms first, then you had to add, then you had to divide. So that had 3 steps. The next one is going to have 4 steps. So let's look at number 6. So on 6, so what do we do with this this negative right here? If you want to think of it, it's actually kind of like, that would actually be like a negative 1 times 4y plus 8. So what would you have to do there? It's one of those properties we had. Was it associative, commutative, distributive, like terms? It's distributive, yeah. So that negative in front of those parentheses, you've actually got to distribute that. So it's going to be like a negative 1 times the 4y and a negative 1 times the positive 8, like that. All right? I'm not going to leave that there. I'm going to get it out of the way for you guys, but that's what you have to do. So, and basically what it'll do, well, let's write the answer to that part. Noah? Oh, you just, okay, you're good. All right, so if you want to think of it then, we're just going to I'll just write it this way. We're just going to distribute the negative. So the negative is going to distribute onto here and onto here. So then we're going to have 10y. Well, what's negative 1 times positive 4y? Yeah, Dewan? You got a negative times a positive. What's that? Yeah, it'll be negative. So it's going to give you a negative 4y. And then what's a negative 1 times a positive 8? Somebody other than Dewan. What's a negative 1 times a positive 8? Yeah. Good, negative 8. So you're going to write minus 8. Excuse me. So really, look at that carefully. All that negative in front of those parentheses does is it really just changes the sign of both of these. Can you see that? So if there's a negative in front of the parentheses, it changes that 4y to a negative 4y, and it changes that positive 8 to a negative 8. And then that's equal to negative 20 still. Then is there anything we can combine on the left-hand side? You want? Yeah, and what do you get?
6y.
Good. Yeah, you guys can combine these two, right? 10y's take away 4y's leaves you with 6y's. So now you have 6y minus 8 equals negative 20. So you've already done 2 steps. You had to distribute first, then you had to combine like terms. Now you're down to a 2-step equation. So what's the next step?
Plus 8.
Good. So add 8 on both sides. Those 8's cancel out, right? Negative 8 plus 8, that's 0. So now on the left-hand side, you just have 6y, and on the right-hand side, you have negative 20 plus 8, that's negative 12. And what do I do? Good, yep, divide by 6 on both sides, so we're just dividing by whatever number's in front of that variable. So that coefficient in front of y is 6, right? So we just divide both sides by 6. And then these cancel out and make 1, so we have 1y equals, and we got negative 12 divided by 6, that's negative 2. All right? Any questions on that one? All right, let's go to number 7. We got to do 7, 8, 9, and 10. So the notes part were short, but there's lots of examples in this section. So what's the first step on this one, guys, other than Dewan? Who's got a first step for me? Tom, what do you got? Yep, you got to distribute. So we're going to distribute the 4 times the x and times the negative 2. So then we're going to get 4 times x is, good, 4x. Then we're going to do a positive 4 times a negative 2. 4 times negative 2. Negative 8, good. So that's going to be a negative 8. And then we're going to bring down the plus 2x and the equal sign and the 40. Now, somebody other than Dewan, is there something that will combine on the left-hand side? Devay? Yeah, the 4x and the 2x, good. So we're going to combine those. So you combine this term and this term. So you got 4x plus 2x, so how many x's do we got? Good. So we got 6 x's. Then we're going to bring down the minus 8, the equal sign, and the 40. So now we're down to a 2-step equation. So we do what? Ryan, you got it?
Yeah, add 8.
Good.
Sides.
Add 8, yeah. And then these 8s cancel out. Negative 8 plus 8, that's 0. Then we bring down the 6x, and that's going to be equal to 40 plus 8 on the right-hand side is 48. And then how do we finish? Divide by 6. So again, we're dividing both sides by whatever number's in front of that variable. The 6's cancel out to make a 1, so we get 1x equals 48 divided by 6, which is 8. Again, that one had 4 steps, right? You had to distribute, then you had to combine like terms, then you had to add 8, then you had to divide by 6. You guys good? So where are we at? Is there another one there, or is the story problem? No, it's the story problem now. If I can get this in there. Use my mouse. Okay, so the word problem. I guess I really can't get that in there better than that. Okay, this one's a little different than the ones we've been doing. This one says that Jan, she joined some dining club for $29.95. And by doing that, she saves $2.50 every day on her lunch. All right. And then at some point, she figures out that she has saved $12.55 by joining the club. And we want to figure out, well, how many lunches did she buy in order to save that $12.55? So right here, it says she saves $2.50 for every lunch, or $2.50 for each lunch. So if you see that word every or each, that means multiply, okay? So that part right there, that means multiply. And then, what do you want to use for a variable for her number of lunches? L? Okay, good. So we're going to, for the number of lunches here, we're going to use L. So L is the number of lunches. All right. So that means the amount that she saved would look like this. It'd be $2.50 times L, right? Or just 250L. That's the amount of money that she saved. So we're going to call that's going to be positive, okay? But then you got to remember, she spent $29.95 to join this club, right? So we're going to make that amount negative. So she has to spend $29.95, so we're going to subtract off $29.95. And then that's supposed to equal the amount of money that she saved, which is $12.55. Does that kind of make sense? For example, if you put in for L right there, if you put in a 10 for L, if it was 10 lunches, well, it'd be $2.50 times 10 lunches. That'd be, let's not do 10. I don't want to be that. Let's do, well, that would work too, but let's make it easier. Let's just say 4. So just for a second, let's pretend that that L right there was a 4, just for a second. So after 4 lunches, she's going to save $2.50 times 4. So that's $10, right? So after 4 lunches, she has saved $10. But then she had to pay that $29.95 up front, so she's still in the hole. She's still in the negative $19.95. Does that make sense? So after 4 lunches, $2.50 times 4 is $10. $10 minus $29.95 would leave her at negative $19.95 still. But what we're going to want to do is we're going to figure out how many lunches it's going to be so that she actually comes out not by being negative $19.95. We're going to figure out how many lunches L she needs to buy so that she ends up with a positive savings of $12.55. So we're just gonna solve for L. So let's do that. So how do we solve for L here? What's the first step, guys? Tom? Yeah. Yeah, add $29.95 to each side. Oops. $29.95 on this side. All right, these are going to cancel out and make 0. So then we've got $2.50 times L equals, let's see, what's that? That is, what, $42.50? 42.50. I think that's right, isn't it? 29, so that'd be 31, 41.
Yeah.
42, yeah. Okay, so how do we finish solving for L? Yep, that's good, Tom. So we're going to divide both sides by 250. Maybe I'll do that in a different color so you can see. So we're going to divide both sides by 250. So then anybody got a calculator out there? These would, the 250s on the left-hand side, those cancel out to make a 1. So then we get L equals, you got the one? 17. So we get L equals 17 lunches. So there you go. So what does that mean? That means if we put 17 in here for the number of lunches, she's going to save $2.50 times 17. Well, that's going to be $42.50. That's how much she saved. But then you got to subtract off the fact that she paid $29.95 up front to join the club. So in effect, she's only saved $12.55 after 17 lunches. All right, enough of that one. So let's go to the last two. We're almost there, guys. Hang on. So So the last two. Maybe I should just do this. That'll work better, I think. All right, so this one. All right, so we got 4a plus 2/10 equals 5. So we want to solve for a. So what's the first step? We got to get, so again, what we're trying to do here is we're trying to get this term by itself. So how do we get rid of that plus 0.2? What was that? Thank you. So we're going to subtract 2/10 on both sides. So minus 0.2 on this side and minus 0.2 on this side. Now, I've seen people try to subtract the 0.2 twice on the same side. All right, no, it's whatever you do on one side of the equal sign, you have to do the same thing on the other side of the equal sign. In other words, some people actually draw like a little line down the middle of this thing like this and put the equal sign in there. So now the on the left-hand side, the 0.2 minus 0.2, that cancels out and makes 0. So all we have left on the left-hand side is 4a plus 0, which is 4a. And on the right-hand side, we've got 5 take away 0.2. That's 4.8. And then we do what to finish? Yep. So we're going to divide by 4 on both sides. I shouldn't have. Hold on. Divide by 4 on both sides. And we get a equals, what is that, 1.2? 4.8 divided by 4. So that's 1.2. Now, they always ask these kind of problems on the SAT. Aiden? Damien? You guys got this? What happened to Noah over there? Noah, watch this problem. They always do this on the SAT. So you solve for A, right? You got 1.2. And then you're looking at your bubble sheet there in your answer form, and you see an answer choice that it says 1.2, and you get all excited because you got 1.2 and you bubble it in and you get the problem wrong. Because they didn't ask you to find A, they asked you to find A minus 1. So you got to take the value that you got for A, and you got to plug it in right there for A. So you actually have to do 1.2 minus 1. What does that equal? No, 1.2 minus 1. That's just 0.2. Let's do that in a different color. Yeah, so the important part is you got to take that and you got to plug it in right there. So that's your actual answer, is 2/10. Let's do the last one. So here's the last one. So number 10. Who's got the first step on number 10? Somebody other than Dewan or Tom.
Distribute.
Excellent. Yeah, what are we going to distribute?
The negative.
Perfect. So we're going to distribute that negative. So that negative is going to get distributed. And like I said earlier, all that does is really change the sign. So instead of having a positive 9 here, you end up with a negative 9. And instead of having a negative 2D, you end up with a positive 2D. And then you got to bring down that 3D in front. And then that's equal to 51 still. Who's got a next step for me? Jonathan, you got it?
3D and 2D.
Excellent, yes. So you guys are going to combine like terms. You got a 3D plus 2D. So that's how many Ds?
5D.
Excellent. So that's 5 Ds. Bring down the minus 9 equals 51. And then Next up.
Plus 9 on both sides.
Excellent. Plus 9 on both sides. Then those cancel out and make 0. So now we got 5 D's are equal to 60. Then what?
Divide 5 on both sides.
Good. Divide by 5 on both sides. We get D equals 12. Again, you're taking the SAT, you get D equals 12, that answer's there, so you bubble it in on your sheet and you get it wrong, because what do you got to do? Yes, Damien, that's good. Yeah, we're not trying to find D here. It says we got to find 3D. So you got to take that value that you got for D and you got to plug it in to that expression right there. So the final answer on this is 3 times 12, which is 36. Then you bubble your answer in. All right? And that's the whole thing. So let me stop this recording.